I'm Jeff Cornwall, and this is the Entrepreneurial Mind. Today our guest is Jimmy Moody with Moody Tires. We'll be back to talk with him after this. Welcome, Jimmy.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So let's go back in time just a little bit. You're involved in a family business, and I remember as you were getting ready to graduate, you were coming out of our program. You were trying to figure out, whether a family business life was the right life and the right direction, and you really wanted to. But like anybody going into a family business, had a little bit of nervousness about the whole thing. It's worked out well for you, hasn't it?
It has. There's definitely, it's pluses and minuses with the family businesses, but I would say that there has definitely been more highs than lows with doing it.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways, in anything that you had talked about, in many ways it's exceeded, I think, what you thought it might do in terms of your own growth and development, and the business is doing well. Now, this was started by your great uncle, is that correct?
That is correct.
And then your dad took it over, and now you've come into the business as well. So we're in third generation now.
That's right.
Now, for a long time, you guys have had one store. I mean, you've moved twice in Franklin?
We've moved twice.
And you've got a pretty established location now in Franklin. And recently, you guys were making a huge decision about opening a second location. Talk about that process. What was going through your mind, and why you might do that after all these years of just one location, and how do you make the decision like that, and kind of walk us through that whole process.
So for years and years, 70 years, we've been a single location business in Franklin, and it's provided for my family. It's done well. The opportunity for growth's been there, but never been something that has appealed to anybody in the business. It's done well for my family, and that's it. It's always been...
It's not broken, so why fix it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always been a dream of mine to expand, not necessarily be a huge mega store that's all over the country, but I would love to be able to take care of all of Williamson County or around like our single store used to back in the days when we were a smaller town. So an opportunity came up in Cool Springs, which Cool Springs is now a completely different town than Franklin.
Right.
So that came up. It was a matter of 2 weeks.
You had 2 weeks to make the decision.
Had 2 weeks to make the decision.
And it's a scary decision to make. I mean, you had resources that were one of the issues. It takes money to do this.
Yes.
There's a lot of competition up there. So how do you make that decision in 2 weeks? What'd you do?
I didn't sleep for 2 weeks, and I spent all my time I talked to everybody, getting feelers out. Is this a good decision? Can we make it out there? I mean, I talked to distributors, the bank, family, customers, and I didn't get one negative feedback on it. Because our town is so big now,
right?
We weren't, and our distributors wasn't afraid that it would take away from our existing business. And so it all came down to a gut decision.
Right.
Because we didn't have time to crunch all the numbers. It was, does this make sense?
And what'd your dad think about this? I mean, he's been part of this legacy of 70 years of one location.
That's right. And he looked at me and he said, I'm 62 years old. I've done my part.
Right.
And I said, but I'm 30. He said, if this is the route you think we should go, this is the route we'll go. And it was a pretty easy decision once you knew that everybody was on board.
Right.
And
still scary.
Very scary. but I feel better about it now that we've been open for a couple weeks, and everybody is just like, I'm so glad that you're over in our town now. That's existing customers that can access us now.
Right.
In 2 weeks, we've seen customers that we haven't seen in a long time.
Right.
And their reasoning wasn't, we didn't like you anymore. It was, we just couldn't get to you.
Right.
It's a 45-minute drive.
Right.
5 miles away. So it's just been really,
Franklin
really good.
used to be a 5-minute town even when I moved there 13 years ago, and it's not anymore.
It's not.
I mean, even getting from my house, which is fairly near where you are, over to you is getting to be a challenge these days. The traffic has just gotten awful. So how did you let the world know that this is happening? Did you do some things to build a buzz, or has this been more of a soft opening and people recognize the brand name and been coming in, or kind of how did you approach that?
So I let all the media know. I let our local paper know. I did social media. Social media has been my biggest advertising. I do paid advertising on Facebook, and that started building the conversation. I put signs up in Cool Springs, and we opened up for 2 weeks before our grand opening. But we didn't announce that we were open. It was just people that stuck their head in.
Right.
And just doing that, conversation spreads like wildfire. And we opened up 3 weeks ago, and it's been a steady business since.
Very good. So what's been the biggest surprise about the challenges of having a second location that maybe you didn't anticipate, or maybe you kind of thought, that's probably not going to be a big deal, but it's proven to be a little more of a challenge than you thought?
Well, with one location, if there's a problem, I can go fix it myself.
Right.
I didn't worry about anything, or maybe I worried too much because I was always there. I can handle it.
Right.
With 2 locations, now I had to create a set of processes that I could have somebody else run the store. I still have...
For both stores now.
For both stores. So it's not only made our current store stronger, because I had to really lay out an outline of how I wanted another store to look. And so when I have to sit down and actually organize it outside of right here,
right,
it really, really made it better. So I hired a few employees to run the store, and their question was, okay, so how do we do this? And when I have to tell them, I never had to tell anybody anything.
Right.
And so that was one of the biggest challenges we had, is trying to create a mirror of what we're doing.
Because everybody over there knows it, and there's people that are going to help show them, and you don't have that context in the new store.
That's right. And so that was one of the biggest challenges, but biggest reliefs that we've had too. Because again, so far, everything that we've done has made both stores stronger.
So now in the back of your mind, are you thinking maybe in a few years we'll do a third store?
Not yet. Not yet. In my head, it's always been a dream.
Right.
If another opportunity came up, if everything aligned like it did this time, I would consider it. I can't think about that right this second, though.
Right. That's a prudent course to take at this point.
Yes.
Get the second one right and get things cruising, and then think about it.
That's right.
Jimmy, we're very proud of you and so happy with all your success, and we'll get you back here when that third store is starting to come to your mind at some point.
That's right.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thank you.